Hello, friends.
Good day.
Week 26.
That's half a year.
Woohoo!
We've been doing half a year's worth of Dark Shadows now.
Thanks for staying tuned to our updates.
Exciting. Well, we wrapped up one plot line and started a new one,
which is what I predicted last week, people. That happened.
Good call on that.
Thank you.
So we wrapped up all this Matthew crap.
Yep.
What happened?
Well, he went to go get an axe because he was going to kill Vicky.
Give her 30 whacks?
No,
that was Lizzie Borden. Never mind.
And Vicky told him that there are no such thing as widows, and there never has been.
No, there's no such thing as widows.
I believe she meant,
husband has ever died.
I believe she meant no such thing as the widows. But we had a bit of a giggle about that.
Yep.
Anyway, so after a long, drawn-out thing with David, he finally tells Burke and Roger what's happened.
Yeah, because he called Burke over, right?
Yes,
yeah,
Burke came over.
Burke showed up. Lickety split.
Yep. So Roger is still doubtful that it's a possibility that she's there, but they go out with guns anyway. And then Matthew comes with the axe to get Vicky, and then he was
like sharpening it on the
like the
sharpener grindy
thing. The stone wheeler.
Yeah.
But then she has this like wave of brilliance.
Sure.
Thing? Sure. That she will tell him that the ghost told her that she shouldn't be afraid. So it's definitely not the ghosts that want her dead. So he shouldn't kill her.
Which wasn't lying either. She didn't make it up. But yeah.
But then he heard them calling his voice, and he went outside of the room, and then all the ghosts all of a sudden showed up, and he was all freaked out, and they were kind of chasing him. So he ran, and after he ran, Burke and Roger came in, and they found Vicky, and they got her out, and then when they turned around, what did they see in the chair?
A dead Matthew, or a motionless Matthew, and he with his head down. And
so they're like, Matthew, wake up! And then he fell down, dead to the ground.
With this apparently shocked, scared look on his face.
Yes, they chatted about that the next episode, that he had a heart attack, and that they were like, oh, maybe there's no such thing as ghosts. And they're like, well, he was afraid of something, so... What do you think about that?
Could have been the widows. There's no such thing as widows.
Right. No such thing.
So, what happened in the aftermath of Vicky's saving? She found that Burke was obviously very protective of her and offered to carry her back and everything. And was it the next day she found out about the
private eye?
That he had hired a private eye.
Yeah, like Johnson. I think Johnson told her, and then she was all touched. And then Burke came up to her room and was telling her that she needed to leave, and she was just like, no, not going anywhere. And then she talked with Elizabeth and said that the ghost looked like her, not like Elizabeth, but like Vicky.
Right, which is weird because the ghost looks like Maggie, because Catherine Lee Scott plays Josette's ghost. So
right,
it's kind of weird that. Maybe they're related. Who knows?
Perhaps.
Maybe that's where this is going. We'll find out. So, is there anything else with that?
Elizabeth, she was talking about ghosts with Elizabeth, and Elizabeth had mentioned there was a time when her great aunt was stranded somewhere, and then some boat guy, I don't know if he saw a ghost, the ghost told her that everything would be okay or something, and then some guy on a boat felt like he should go out, and he found her, and so
right.
There was that incident.
Not sure if that will have anything to do with anything at any point, but yeah. Is that it then?
Yes, for that bit.
And then we...
Joe and...
So did we get another recap with Joe? Maggie?
He's just really good at recapping everything.
He is, yeah. He goes to the diner and catches Maggie up on everything so that the audience can get caught up on everything that they missed if they didn't see the last few episodes.
And then Sam was telling her again to find out who this lady is and ask her questions. So she tried, but felt kind of awkward about it again. And
still didn't really find out who she was.
But then Sam he's kind of drunk at this point, and he goes to the hotel, and no one's at the front desk, so he looks in the book and finds out that it's Laura, and he calls Roger and just says, come meet me at the Blue Whale. And then
someone walks in at that moment.
Oh, yeah, so he did see her, yeah.
He did see her, so he was confirmed that it was Laura, so he knew it was her, but she didn't see him.
Yeah, so then he goes to the Blue Whale and tells Roger that the person you would least expect to be here, or at least want to be here. And it was
beating around the bush, everyone beats around the bush in this show.
And then finally, it's Laura! Dun dun!
So now, even though we were spoiled by the credits, at that point we officially know that it's Laura Collins who's back. Or Laura Murdoch, apparently. She's going by her maiden name at this point. That's what she was registered at the hotel under.
So then they wonder, the guys wonder if Burke has kind of brought her here for some reason. And Sam reveals something quite big.
That you've been wondering for
I've been wondering, and I kind of thought
years.
that maybe this was the thing for years, since the beginning, basically.
What does Sam have to do with the accident?
Sam asks Roger if Laura knows that he saw the accident. So he saw, and he knows who was driving then. Unless he was drunk too. He seems to be drunk. So maybe he doesn't remember it well either.
I think the implication was in the early episodes that Sam wasn't a drunk before he became a drunk later on to cope with the guilt of not testifying and taking money from Roger for $3,000 or something. He bought paintings off of him.
Oh,
that was, I think, I think they said that early on. They kind of hinted at it. Maggie was kind of saying, "Is something with those paintings or something?" I can't remember.
Okay. And Roger says he doesn't think that Laura knows that he saw, but I mean, who knows what Laura knows? I think he kind of was.
So Roger obviously is concerned that she's going to, especially if Burke brought her there, that she's going to blow up his game and reveal that Roger was really the one driving.
Right.
And since they're presumably not on good terms anymore, since they're not together anymore, she spent the last bunch of years in sanitarium or sanatorium, whatever they're calling it, depending on who's speaking.
Well, it's Carol and Caroline, depending on who's.
So Sam's obviously concerned about that too, but he now is thinking, oh, maybe she doesn't know that I was there, and so Sam is like, oh, maybe I'm off the hook. This isn't my problem. This is a you problem, Roger.
And then we see Maggie and Joe. Joe drives Maggie home, and they have a little bit of a drink. And Joe's like, "I know something's wrong with you. What are you worried about?" And so she says she's worried about her dad, and that since this lady's been back, he's been acting really strangely, and so she's worried about him. And then he comes home super drunk, and Joe leaves, and Maggie tries to get him to go to sleep, and he's like, "No, I must paint. And then so. He wakes up the next morning.
I know the feeling. Sometimes you just get the creative urge.
Yes.
It passes out on the couch.
Yes.
Maggie tries to wake him up before she goes to work.
She's like, "Oh, look at this painting that you painted. It looks like your style, but not like something you would normally paint." And he was like, "I don't remember painting anything." And then it was this lady burning in flames.
Yes.
Oh, and Roger, that evening, told Liz that Laura was back, and they chatted about that, and she thinks that he's afraid of Laura. He says no, but no. She was like, "Why didn't you call?"
Why he's afraid of her.
It's like, "Why didn't you?" She's like, "Why didn't you call and talk to her then?" And so he kind of does, but she's not there. And she's like, "Well, why don't you leave a message?" And anyway, so that was that.
He doesn't. He calls back again the next day though.
Yes, he does.
And she's not there again because she was at Colin.
Yes, watching David swing.
Watching David on the swing. I think it looked like the old house.
Yep. So that morning, Johnson overhears Liz and Roger talking about Laura being in town, so she goes and tells Burke, and then Burke knocks on her door and she's not there, and then we see her watching David, and then she comes to the house.
Yes, shows up in the middle of the night after David's been put to bed. And
by Johnson, because
Johnson knows that she's coming back, and so Johnson's setting all these little hints like, well, maybe someone else will be tucking you in soon, and maybe you won't have to wait. And he's like, who? She's like, you'll see.
She's a weird character, but that's just, anyway. So they do, so Laura and Roger and Liz just kind of have a bit of small talk and pleasant conversation, and then she's like, I've come back because I realized what I'm missing in my life, and it's love, and I want David, but that's kind of all I want. I don't want money or anything like that.
And you think that's selfish, did you say?
Well, if she just wants him because she wants to feel loved, not because she wants to take care of him and love him, I feel like
people have kids for that reason.
I know, but it's not.
Or pets.
It just seems selfish to me.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't been with her in years. I mean, he still loves her, and we know that, so that's one thing at least. Anyway,
and if it was just him with his dad, he for sure would be all over that, and Roger probably would too. But now that Elizabeth's involved, and Elizabeth loves him, and he loves Elizabeth, and he probably doesn't want to leave the house, and So it's going to be a little more complicated than just like, yeah, get me away from this evil father of mine.
Right.
Well, the father saying the opposite to him.
Yeah, the three of them decide together that it's David's decision.
Mm-hmm.
So Laura leaves for the night, and it's going to come back the next day. And then David is kind of sleepwalking. We see him. He was kind of tossing and turning and saying, "Mother, mother." And so he gets up and walks down the stairs. And then Roger comes and yells at him to go back to bed. And then the doors fly open, and he tries to run out the door. And then he says, "I was having a bad dream, and my mother was calling my name," or something. So
yeah, why would it be a bad dream?
I don't know. I was wondering that too. Maybe because he couldn't get to her.
Maybe.
So
not sure.
I'm thinking that David's going to make the decision to want to go with his mother.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting. I mean, I'm guessing that's not going to happen since that would make Vicky's job obsolete.
Right.
So if we can't lose her.
They're going to get rid of Vicky and David.
So Laura has no intention of staying in Collinsport. So
yeah,
if she needs to take David, they would go.
Phoenix.
I would guess, yeah.
That's kind of what she was implying.
Anyway, predictions?
Well, she's going to come back, like she said, and we're going to find out if David is okay with leaving. I think it's going to be a tough struggle. I think there's going to be a lot of emotions involved, and who should he be with? But he wants to be with his mom, but he probably also wants to be with Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
We know Burke's gonna
have a conversation with her and see what's going on.
Burke's not gonna want her to leave until she can clear him of his manslaughter charge, if she can even get her to admit it.
Right.
Which she should, if she doesn't care for Roger.
Yeah, because she did say she doesn't want Roger. She doesn't want to be married to Roger anymore, and she'd be okay with a divorce, and so.
So I think all that drama is going to come into play.
Sam's going to go
more
crazier and crazier and more drunk
because with Sam and Roger. Yep.
Worried that she's going to out him if he knows, or if she knows that he saw it. So
yeah.
Anyway, there you have it.
Okay.
Another week in the books.
1/2 year done. Okay.
Congratulations, everybody.
Another 4.5 years. Okay. Bye.
Bye.